So he talks about the next aspect, environmental pressures. He says, the environment you are born and live in has quite an influence on your life and living. It is known as Mahat in Sanskrit. If one is born in a communist country and lives amongst communists, one would, in all probability, become a communist. So too the environment of capitalism would shape one into a capitalist, and socialism into a socialist, etc. People the world over have become captives of not just the politics, but the customs, language, religion, practically everything surrounding them. Thus human beings have created barricades, barriers, boundaries, succumbing to external pressures, and they live in their own confines. That causes bitterness, animosity amongst the different self-inflicted factions and sections. Okay, so go to a world map, and go to a world map defined, say, by religion. I think we were talking about this last week. You see where the national boundary ends, the religion ends. Right, so if you're born into that geography, that's the religion you take to. Right, and so you could colour in the map through a range of different things. He talks about here, politics and language, customs, all that kind of stuff. So whatever the environmental influence is, and he uses this word mahat, that we adopt. Right, now to an extent it's unavoidable, it's natural, to an extent it's healthy. Because if a society is healthy, then what happens is that through the process of growth and development, the society will shed outdated or unnecessary or harmful values and take to positive ones, progressive ones. And so you will naturally passively adopt positive values in the same way as for a family. You naturally adopt the values of your family. Now, if that family has positive values, then you will passively adopt those too. So to an extent, we learn socially. So that's not what he's talking about. That aspect of human development is natural and normal. But remember, the context of the entire book is the Holocaust of Attachment. So it's not the fact that we learn socially that is problematic. What's problematic is that we don't just learn socially, we become that. We define ourselves as that thing. I'm a capitalist, I'm a Christian, I'm etc. All these different things. We become attached to that persona or attached to that part of our identity. And then anyone who is not that, there is a boundary. Again, there's nothing wrong with boundaries. We're not saying everybody has to be the same religion, or everybody has to be the same political class, or everybody has to be the same, adopt the same customs. Of course not. Nor are we saying that everyone has to live all together in the same place with their different religions and customs. No, of course not. If you want different societies and different geographical locations with different customs and so on and so forth, by all means, arrange yourselves how you want. But what he is talking about is the attachment to those customs, the attachment to those environmental influences. Anyone who is not part of my in-group, there's naturally something wrong with them. They're beyond the pale. So anyone who conforms to the environmental influence, they are considered part of we, part of us. And they're naturally afforded all of the dignities and respect that the person in the we group has. Anyone who does not conform to that, who doesn't fall in line with those influences, they're part of the out group. And all of the dignities and respects that were given to the in group are not given to them. They are of lesser value, of lesser importance. Not only that, they're a potential threat. So this is what he's talking about here. Bitterness and animosity. So there are these sectarian divides, there are these sectarian clashes. Again, it's because we have become attached to the environmental influence. So we passively adopt the qualities, the attributes of the society. So to stay with religion as an example, he often says, by the time we're able to articulate it, we claim, I'm a Christian, I'm a Muslim, I'm a Hindu, I'm a Sikh, I'm a Jew, whatever it is. We make that claim. We have not made the decision to be a Christian or a Hindu or anything else. So when you say, I am that, what a person is essentially saying is, well, this is my identity. I was born this. No, you're not born that way. You were not born a Christian. You were born a person in a Christian environment, and you passively adopted it. To say I am a Christian in a true sense would be to say I've evaluated it. I do believe that I should be a religious person, and of all the world's religions, I've chosen this one. Then you can claim I am a Christian in a much more genuine sense. But otherwise, you're not making any statements, any claims. What you're saying is I was born in a Christian country, and I passively accepted whatever was given to me. And anyone who isn't a Christian is clearly wrong. Not realizing that that person's only a Muslim because they were born in a Muslim country, in the same way that you're only a Christian because you were born in a Christian country. It makes no sense. And it's obvious when you start thinking about it. It really is a simple concept. The problem is, we don't think about it. It's unfortunate. In the onslaught of external pressures of Mahat, a few have emerged unscathed, unaffected, free. They have turned out to be great leaders among the masses victimized by external pressures. One such master was Mahatma Gandhi. Prior to political independence, the entire Indian population adopted a slavish mentality to the British rulers. In that sea of enslavement, Gandhi stood out like a beacon guiding the masses to their freedom and independence, and freed the nation from British rule. It is a human privilege to liberate oneself from self-inflicted bondage brought about by environment. A human being enjoys this prerogative of rising above the external pressures of Mahat. So too, one can rise to the pinnacle of perfection in different facets of life regardless of one's environment. Thus, there is a spiritually enlightened soul like Swami Ramatirtha, an astounding philosopher like Socrates, an amazing scientist like Albert Einstein. All such luminaries rose from the mass of commoners. So this is another reason why it's so important for us to understand our own Swadharma. What is that thing where if I pursue it, I will excel? So this is why it's important for us to understand what our individual nature is, so that we can give it that direction, because that'll be the thing that we excel at. That'll be the thing where we'll be a leader in our field. And whether our field happens to be our community, our state, our country, or the world. Find your place. Not everyone's going to be a Mahatma Gandhi. But you can be a Mahatma Gandhi in your environment. It might be just your school district. You're the Mahatma Gandhi of your school district. Fine, then be that. It doesn't mean that you get complacent there and say, a school district is enough. Keep aspiring for more, but recognize that everyone's going to have a particular level. But this is the idea. But in order to do that, we've got to rise above environmental pressures. So he gives the example of Mahatma Gandhi. The enslavement of the Indian nation was, one of the effects of that was that the entire population had this servile mentality towards the British rulers. Yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. When a Britisher walked in the room, everybody stood. You never spoke to him without speaking. It's interesting. You listen to my teacher talk about this, because he was a child as that British rule was sort of petering out, and so he'd see the generations above him adopting this slavish mentality. And he was at an age where it was starting to, lose its grip a little bit, so he sort of saw both. Someone like Mahatma Gandhi refused to adopt that mentality. So easy to just do what everybody else is doing and adopt the same perspective. They're the Britishers, they're the rulers. Mahatma Gandhi, there is a story, I have no idea how true it is, but like all of these, they're good stories, so it's okay. True or not. Apparently there was a meeting between Mahatma Gandhi and some of the British, rulers in India. And they said to Mahatma Gandhi, what is it that you want? And he said, what is it that I want? You've come to my home. What do you want? Take it and get out. And this is interesting because that question that the British has asked indicated what they were used to dealing with. What do you want? We're in control. We're the rulers. It's our place. What do you want from us? What are you here for? No. This is our place. What are you here for? What do you want? Why have you come? It's a completely different mentality. Had to rise above the influence of the environment. And by and large, we don't know that we are being influenced. Now, that doesn't mean that we therefore adopt a contrary position to whatever the environmental influence is. It simply means that we question it, because there may be some environmental influences that are exactly what we want to be. But we should question it and then choose whether or not to adopt it. So it's easy to fall into like I say, the position of just being a contrarian. Whatever the position is that's adopted in general, you just immediately say no. No, I disagree. Because you don't want to, because you're also attached to the view of yourself as being free and independent. I don't do what other people think. I don't succumb to environmental influence. So whatever they do, I do the opposite. You're just on the other side of the coin, as bound as everybody else. It's like the person who refuses to wear labels. Why can't you wear a label? You get given a jacket or a sweatshirt with a label on it. I can't wear labels. Well, you're as bound as the person who has to wear labels. Yeah? If I can wear labels, I cannot wear labels, I don't care. Then you're free. So evaluate. This is what he's saying. Question. And then decide which ones do serve your interests and which ones don't. And for those that don't, discard them. For those that do, take them up. A human being enjoys this prerogative of rising above the external pressures.